please welcome to the stage the stars of the show, Nick Frost, Lena Headey, Florence Pugh, Jack Loudon, and WWE superstar Paige. Come on in.
Sorry.
That's fine. Come on up.
Hello everyone. Hello.
Well, thank you all for being here. Let's start with, can you mind doing a brief introduction, who you are, who you play, where everyone recognizes you from?
Hello, my name is Nick Frost and I play Ricky Knight.
Oh, you done?
Yeah, if you don't know where I'm from, Google me.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
My name is Paige, and this movie is about my life, and don't Google me.
So funny. I'm Florence Pugh, and I play her in life all the time.
Lena Headey, I play Paige's mum.
Back there.
And I'm Jack, and I play Zach, the brother who's also over there, ominously lit.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Genuinely is.
So Paige, let's kick this off with you. For many of you that
Come on, Grandad.
Your turn.
For many of you that don't know, there was actually a TV documentary that was made about your family that kind of started a little bit of this picture. What's it like at this stage in your career, very early on, young, to have a TV documentary and a biopic about you, with The Rock?
Well, when it comes to the documentary, I was very used to being in front of the camera because, my mum and dad loved to do a documentary or two growing up. So me and Zach were kind of used to that kind of stuff. We didn't realize that the documentary was going to be so successful. So it won awards and we were really happy about it. But again, you don't think anything of it after that until Dwayne approached me one day and said, like, hey, we're going to make a movie on you. And that's like so bizarre to me. It's very surreal. So it's very strange to see a girl playing you too, and she just did such a fantastic job. She made me look so much better than I actually am, and I'm just really thankful for the cast too. They're absolutely incredible, apart from Nick.
She's kidding. She's kidding.
Now Florence, you didn't get to meet Paige until after the shooting. So what was it like, being able to depict someone who's real, who's alive, who's still very much in kind of the early stages of the career, to build your own character that was you and not necessarily just an impersonation of Paige?
So many questions in that. Yeah, I didn't meet her. Sorry, I have a slight cough. I didn't meet her until about 3 weeks ago, which I think now looking back on it, I'm quite glad I didn't, because I think I would have been studying you probably a bit creepily. But at the time, Paige was injured and she had a neck injury and couldn't fly over, and we started filming, so we were just in contact all the time. Very odd playing someone that's not only alive but only a couple of years older than you, and this only happened a couple of years ago, so she doesn't need her memory refreshing. She knows about it all. So I suppose you just have to kind of take that opportunity and hope that you're not going to offend, or most of the time you hope that you're going to do the story justice. And also, I suppose, make sure that I find some piece in that storyline that I need to tell as well. So you have to make some sort of amalgamation, and then just fingers crossed, because she can wrestle. So you hope she doesn't find it offensive.
It's a true story.
Yeah.
And along those same lines, you were able to watch a lot of YouTube and film because of so much her being on stage and on TV. How much did you prep and watch for that?
I mean, that's the best thing about playing a famous wrestler, is that every single fight she's ever done is on there. And even the documentary was just so helpful to use, because you can see what she was like when she was younger, and around her family and how they spoke. And actually getting the accent down, that was really handy to watch the documentary.
Jack, you play the brother, kind of very, very big part of this, take a lot of the emotional toll through this. I'm curious about, with you doing a big core of the wrestling, how much training went into, how much of the stunts did you do to prepare for such a physical role?
Quite a lot. I was... Zach is a big lad, as we call him back home. He's a unit. There's just a lot of Zach. And I really wasn't. I was sort of wafer thin and kind of pathetic looking, and told that very quickly by our director that I needed to there was a lot of work to do to kind of do him justice. So then the arsehole gave me six weeks to do that, and so I had to eat like 4 or 5 meals a day. I was given a trainer, CrossFit training, which is mental, and I did that twice a day. So did Flo. So I'd get. I remember the first day I did it actually. I mean, I barely did anything in the grand scheme of things, but went home and I fell asleep at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was only 26 at the time, so that's quite embarrassing. But I ended up putting on roughly 2 stone. So I went from sort of 79 kilograms to about 90 kilograms. But that still wasn't even anywhere near the size that Zach was. He's just huge. But and then we were lucky enough to go over to the NXT in Florida for a week and a half, and do some training with some guys that were like, they were all like 60, 75 years old, and sort of all walked around with their hands behind their backs, and it was all disapproving looks and sort of very little information. And it was wonderful though, and it was just hilarious that you had all these professional wrestlers going through all their moves so beautifully, and then me and Florence Pugh just sort of huffing and puffing and. But in a good way, I think. But no, it was very difficult, but very enjoyable to try and get near the sort of size of Zach, and it does, even just aesthetically. Obviously, it helps. But I loved the way it felt to sort of carry yourself, being bigger than that. I've always dreamed of being anywhere near that size, and it was my favorite thing. One of my favorite things about playing him. But the emotional storyline of it. This is. I'm realizing as I'm speaking, this is the first time I've spoken about this in front of the real Zach. Yeah. So it's a little bit weird, but his story is actually remarkable.
Yeah, let's get into that. I mean, that's a big part of the movie, is the emotional storyline of not being selected, and then a new baby, a lot going on there, and you kind of carry the emotional roller coaster of the character throughout the movie. How did you, I guess, prepare for that and cover that while also doing all the physicality of the wrestling aspect?
I think it's a really cool thing that it's being explored, and I think he's an incredibly honest human being, and I think everybody's probably dealt with, to some extent in their life, a dream that they had, and it maybe not coming true. And I think we, in the script, I hope it's sort of true enough to what actually happened, but it hits that quite hard in the film. And as an actor, I've obviously, all of us have experienced that, where there's a brilliant scene in it where he brings up the guy who auditioned him for the WWE, basically to say, give us another go. And I mean, I've definitely thought of doing that after auditions that I've gone horrendously, and so it was quite cool to do. It really was. It made it really interesting.
I love that scene.
Me too.
It's and
Powerful scene.
Well, I'm glad it was, because I did it with a guy who was lying in the footwell of the car. He's in that scene. There's this little Canadian bloke lying there, like squeezed up like that, with sides, with giving me utterly nothing. So I had to stick my finger in my eye and do all the fake crying I could.
And Zach was on set with you a lot, so you got to kind of work with him and meet him throughout the.
Zach's in the film. Mm-hmm. So there's an even weirder moment where Zach plays a drug dealer in the film, and I pull up in a van and look at him, and he says something to me. So that was utterly bizarre. Really, really weird. But he's a remarkable human being. And I went up to Norwich. I was given a chance to go up there and watch him run the WAW, which is their company. And for me, it's better than the WWE. I'm a massive fan of amateur and semi-pro sport. I'm a big semi-pro football fan, soccer ball back in the UK. And I people who have that much passion and who do it for a tenth of the money, even no money, I think is, in my opinion, way more impressive. And I think what he's done, and he's such an enormous part of his community. I really take my hat off to him. He's amazing.
Yeah, and teaching a blind wrestler is a big part of that too in the movie.
Yeah, and that's a verbatim true story. He taught a blind kid how to wrestle. I think what you think you've done something well in life, and then someone tells you that a human being taught a blind kid how to wrestle. Like, you're really not trying that hard.
Yeah. Nick, I want to touch on the father figure, Ricky, who talks multiple times about being a violent crime offender, of going to prison for violent crimes. You've done a lot of comedy. How did you take that character that has kind of a rough around the edges, but also is the cornerstone of the family and really doing what's best for them and bring your version?
I don't know. I mean, I think I'm always keen to point out that, comedy and drama are not mutually exclusive. Do you know what I mean? There's comedy in everything, even funerals. I don't think you can just be funny and not feel the other emotions that a human may feel. I think Ricky was a dream for me to play, really, because as an actor, it's everything you really want to be. You want someone who's a bit funny and is emotional and is a lunatic. He was a treat, and meeting Zach and stuff today and getting to know Paige a little bit and seeing the documentary, they're a lot like my own family, My own brother was a lot like Zach. He was a bit of a loony, but with a good heart, good egg. And I think with Ricky, I like the fact that, so often you see a character who's bad or who has made a mistake and there's not much redemption. And I like the fact that, yes, he did that and he was those things, but he's also a passionate father and husband, and I guess dynamite in the sack.
Mum's nodding.
Mum, stop nodding.
Mum's nodding.
You're nodding. Why are you nodding?
But he's a dream to play for me personally, because especially with Stephen, the director. He was keen that I add a little something in, and I didn't want to do an impression of Ricky. I wanted to do a kind of an impression of who he was as a man.
Yeah, and so you bring up Stephen and a lot of the dialogue. I mean, it's very quick, very witty. How did you kind of embrace that and bring that into the piece? There was so much back and forth. We saw a couple of the jokes, the Vin Diesel joke, and all these other pieces in there that you throw in.
Yeah, it's quite limp on the page, and the actors really bring it to life, I think. I know, Stephen wrote a great script, and we had fun, and we had the time to muck about, and once you've kind of honoured what has been written, there was always time for something looser or an improvisation, or if one of us had a better idea, or we were allowed a voice, and that's always. Plus, I think we all like each other, and the crew was great, and I think some of us like each other, and the crew was great, and I think that for me personally, that gives you an ease, and the fact you kind of trust people enough to put a bit of yourself, leave a bit of yourself out there, what bit is? Yeah.
Also,
sometimes it was just liquid, but other times spirit and heart, but a lot of liquid.
Just to say that Stephen really he took away from the documentary and put it onto page really well. I think that was something that stood out to me, was watching the documentary and falling in love with that family was exactly the same as the way that Stephen had put it down. And I think as a testament to say how good he did with the script.
So, Lena, I want to ask you, we talked about bad characters. You're pretty famous for playing a bad character on TV. What was it like kind of taking the TV big hit and playing into a movie and a mom and someone who's here and is a character and kind of embracing her role?
I'm such a big fan of Julia. I think she's an incredible woman, and I watched a lot. I watched the documentary and I watched interviews that she did, and she's had a really interesting, sometimes tricky history, and so she's such a sort of powerful, resilient person. And I, like Nick said, it's like you don't want to do like an impersonation. You want to do. You want to portray someone with respect and bring in who they are at the core. And all these characters are such big, joyous, honest people that fuck up and do really well, and nothing's hidden. Like everything's just out on the table, which is why you can't not fall in love with them. And I didn't want Julia to beat me up. So that's the bottom line.
And how much training did you two go through? I mean, you definitely have scenes in the movie where you're in the ring, and did you do a lot of training for the wrestling part?
We wrestled, yeah, didn't we? We all had 2 weeks together, and
We tongue wrestled.
it was good. I was always, I like wrestling. I was a keen wrestler, a keen amateur wrestler. I'd wrestled men in pubs and privately in my own home. I'd always loved wrestlers' boots. I was always fascinated. I was always like, oh my God, their boots are amazing. And then when we started to do the film, they said, so we're going to make you all handmade wrestling boots. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. But just to kind of get boots on and have a wrestle, and the ring was very hard and noisy and squeaky, and it was great, right? We had fun.
A lot of fun.
Anyone?
Yeah, no, I loved it. I loved it. I was saying earlier I can recognise everyone by smell. Truth.
So, Paige, when you saw the film, you have this amazing cast. Did you, how did you feel that they depicted your family?
Oh, they killed it. And I'm not just saying that because I'm sitting on stage with them, or it's about my story, but they really did kill it because, 95% of the movie was very true to story. And they didn't get to spend any time with us, like at all, apart from, Jack a little bit with Zachy boy over there. But I just thought, I cried my eyes out. Like the first time I watched it, like I blubbered everywhere. I couldn't get through the whole movie because I was just crying because I was like, these guys are just like, it's so perfectly done. And Stephen did such a good job on the script enough with so I don't know if you guys have seen it or not yet, or you're about to see it, but they say some pretty crude stuff, right? Some crazy stuff. That's just how my family are. But Stephen said all he had to do was pretty much follow my parents around with a notepad. And the script pretty much wrote itself. And people always think that it's not real, but that's literally who they are. And these guys just absolutely killed it. And the thing that broke my heart the most was seeing Jack did such a good job playing my brother. And the wonderful part of Zach's story is the fact that it kind of shows you that you don't have to be successful in the way, it shouldn't be measured, your level of success shouldn't be measured by how famous you are, or how many people you have on Instagram, or how many cameras are in front of your face, or how many people you're doing interviews in front of. Success is reaching a goal that you set for yourself. For example, Zach wanted a family, and now he has 2 kids. And Zach wanted to train disabled children how to wrestle, and now he has someone with Down syndrome who wants to learn how to wrestle, someone who's blind who wants to learn how to wrestle, and also he wanted to be part of my dad's company, which, if you guys want shares, my dad said they're available.
I've got the paperwork in my bag.
I feel like Jack just portrayed that in such a wonderful way, and it just completely broke my heart, especially that scene. It was absolutely incredible. I was like, I wanted to call Jack and be like, I'm so sorry, dude. But yeah, they just did such an incredible job, and I'm sorry that answer was really long, but I loved it.
Another big theme of the movie is, I think The Rock says a line, but don't try to be the next me, be the first you. How did you embrace that? I mean, when you came on stage, being from Norwich, and with all the models and the different pieces in the movie that you kind of...
Yeah, I was a little bit different. Yeah, well, when I first came over here, I didn't know anything about makeup. I was wearing my brother's hand-me-downs, and I didn't know how to brush my hair, still don't. And it was very strange. I was very insecure. I was confident enough to know, okay, I'm going to be in the WWE and I'm going to fight till I make it. But it's another story once you come over here to a different country. It was a big culture shock, and it was just so different because the women were so beautiful. The kind of ones that you see in slow motion with smoke machines and doves flying behind them. And they're just like, and I'm just like, damn. And then there's me in my frumpy jackets and baggy clothes and smell probably really bad. They're just so beautiful. And so I was really insecure. But the one thing, even though I was super lonely, I didn't have any friends when I first came over here. Still don't. But the one... Fuck! No, but the one thing that I did have was my family. And they just made me feel like I was very unique. In that case, I was there. And someone told me before that being yourself is your superpower. So I kind of took that and was like, I tried to be something I wasn't, which is when I lightened my hair and took my piercings out and got tan, which is so strange for me. But I kind of took that after a couple of months of being there and crying my eyes out and embracing it and being like, you know what? Fuck you. This is me. That's just how it was. And then I kind of ran with that. And now we're here.
So there's a lot about perseverance, wanting to quit. I think that's very relevant too for the acting world, where it takes a lot to kind of get to that level of success. How did that storyline kind of play to you as actors in your career? Open-ended for any of you.
It obviously plays a massive part. You know, you're not saving lives doing this. You know, you have to enjoy it. In my opinion, you're obliged to enjoy it. It's your responsibility to enjoy it, and it's remarkable how often. I'm probably not speaking for just me either. So it's remarkable how often it's not enjoyable because it's so about you, this profession. It's so you. It's not like what you do. You can't do your work and then stand back and people can look at your work. It's you. And I totally took that for granted before I got into this, and sort of it's gotten easier and harder at the same time. So it's exactly what these guys do. You know, what they do is the perfect combination of sport and drama. It really is. It honestly is the best night out I've ever had. When I went up there, it's tremendous, and it's full blooded as well. You know, a lot of people in our profession get like a lot of credit for being method or going deep and all this kind of, you know, stuff that they like to say that makes them sound a lot sexier than they actually are. But like, if you want to see going deep, you go and watch the WAW. Like their commitment in front of an audience is extraordinary. And also, you know, to do what they do and not in front of an audience that's that much bigger than the audience we have now. Like, you know, the WWE, with all due respect, they're in front of 20,000 people. It's probably quite easy to get jacked up and get into it. But to do it in front of, you know, not a great deal amount of people is even more impressive, you know, and it's kind of like doing, you know, a fringe show at the Edinburgh Festival when you do a play in like a cafe. Like it's a lot harder. So like the respect level's huge for what they do.
Anybody else have any thoughts on that topic? No?
Yahoo.
Yeah? No? Okay.
I think Jack covered it.
Yeah.
Jack covered it. Perfect. So what was it like having The Rock, Dwayne Johnson's involvement in this? There's a lot of parallels to his family and to your family. How much of that, having him being a producer on this, played into a little bit more of like the overall wrestling family kind of piece of this picture?
Is that an open question?
Open-ended question.
Oh.
Me? Oh, I never met The Rock until last week.
Yeah.
So I was really nervous. I was a big fan. I was a fan of The Rock for years, and then I kept talking to the producer, kind of saying, "Hey, is the Rock ever going to come down?" Or, "Hey, The Rock didn't ask about. The Rock's never seen Hot Fuzz, has he?" You know, just keep dropping hints and stuff, and he never got in touch. But so then I saw him like last week at Sundance, and I was fairly nervous, and I practiced 3 or 4 different versions of how I would meet him, and then in the end, when you're faced with such a colossus, all that falls to the side, and you're just left saying, "Hey, you're here," and that was it. That's kind of all I got out. But I don't know. I mean, he looks good in the poster that he wasn't there for.
Did you send him your Jumanji audition tape?
No, I keep mentioning Jumanji 2 a lot, hoping that there'll be some kind of trickle-down casting, but I haven't checked today, but I haven't heard whether or not. I mean, I think they're starting to fill up their roster of actors. I know Danny Glover recently got cast, but
I met him at Sundance briefly, and he didn't know who I was when I was leaving and we did it. I went, "Hey," and he went, "Hi," and like, hi, and I went, that was my exchange.
In all seriousness, though, he did work. Sorry, but I'm going to give him some good things now.
Like he needs help.
He needs a bit of help. Jack and I worked with him, obviously, on our first day of shoot. He did the scene where he shouted at us for 40 minutes. And
I'd have taken that.
Yeah, it was fun. He's really big. He eats a lot, and I keep on saying that he looks really smooth because he does look really smooth. But no, we had a great time, and we were both just so amazed by how he basically went away and wrote that, and then we exchanged lines to figure out what we were going to say. And then he walked away and came back 20 minutes later, and he knew this huge monologue promo, and he just basically barked at us. It was amazing. And then also towards the end, I did the Pages fight in the Staples Center after Monday Night Raw, and he was very much involved with the wrestling, so that was really lovely of him. And yeah, those were the times that we worked together.
So I do want to open up to audience questions. So if people want to line up, we have 2 mics on both sides. While people are lining up, I have a fun question for you. If you were, this is more for the cast since Paige has already been picked.
Well, excuse me.
If you were a WWE wrestler, what would your stage name be, and what would your finishing move be?
Lena has a really good one. It's called Choo Choo.
Yeah.
She comes on choo-chooing.
It's like a locomotive,
as she
and
choo-choos.
my fuel is farts,
Yeah.
and I just release one long deadly one.
Choo-choo.
Choo-choo. And just everyone feels like I don't have to touch anyone.
No.
Has that ever been done in the WWE?
Oh, actually, Natty, which is she's a heart. One part of the Heart Foundation, she had to fart on screen a lot and not notice the fact that she was farting, but Vince thought it was hilarious, so she had to do it for months. So much so she's standing in front of people, she's like, "Brrr." And that was all she had to do for like months. She got paid to fart.
But did they have like a thing in her trousers where smoke would come out? Because that's how Choo Choo
No,
would end,
WWE's
right?
not that
She's got
dramatic.
green gas.
Imagine calling your dad and being like, Dad, I did it, yeah. I'm playing the farter.
Thank God they're not making me queef. I knew Mum would like that one.
Anybody else have a wrestling name? No?
I would be called Rump Steak. And he wouldn't be so much a wrestler. I thought he would just be around the ring, dressed in like a dressing gown. It comes from my prison name. If I went to prison, I was told that I would be known as sort of Rump Steak and sort of passed around. In a sort of chewy kind of way, and I kind of think Rump Steak could fill that kind of spot in a wrestling. So he's not featured; he's just always there at every single wrestling match, and he just walks about in a dressing gown, and it's just sort of when he's given the signal, he just comes on, and it's just there just to be used in any way.
Does he cook you steak?
No.
Can I just say,
This sounds
hearing
like
that,
something that's
never
happened.
ever
You've
do
had-
anything wrong.
What?
Never do anything that sends you to prison. Just having heard that.
yeah.
It sounds like you had something awfully traumatic happen to you, and this is something your brain has invented to cover it.
I was just thinking of it.
His wrestling alter ego reminds me of the alter ego that I came up with in case I wasn't Paige. And it was me and Renee Young, and we said we were dressed in dressing gowns. So I don't know if I'm stealing your gimmick a little bit, but we would be called the sleepers, and we'll put you to sleep, and then we'll give him burns on the wrist and be like, "You just got a case of the melatonin," and then you'd be like, "Are you ready for your wet dream?" And then,
Oh wow.
well, you could. I'm not going to tell
So
the rest.
it didn't happen?
No, unfortunately, it
no,
didn't
no.
sell. But it's an idea. But you can join.
I definitely think there's a gap in WWE. I think there's a
Yeah.
market for something a little bit more highbrow like that.
Nick, do you have
I think we've filled enough to allow the question.
one person lined up?
He's
He's
there
on
it
a
is.
stage.
Got a light.
First off, thanks for coming out, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm someone who grew up kind of watching like the Attitude Era of WWE. So there was a lot of cool crossover. It's cool that The Rock is in this. Were there any other stars from WWE that were on set helping out that didn't make it on camera?
Oh, I don't know that part. I just know the ones that were on camera. And The Miz, he gets in everything. So, of course, he was on there. Freaking Mike.
Big Show's in here
Sheamus
as well,
and Big
right?
Show.
Sheamus and Big
And,
But we had that was the one day. So when we shot at Monday Night Raw, we were there and we were kind of just milling about waiting for our opportunity to go on after the show was over. So Stephen was literally just going down the halls being like, "Hi, anybody want to be in the film? Please be in the film." And so all these
And
like
Vince Vaughn walked past.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'll do
All
that.
these massive wrestlers were just walking about in their little speedos, and like just we were just hoping that they'd be doing a gag with me and the food, and then two of them.
Oh, that was a good one though. That was like me when I first got there. I was just like, everyone was like, "You shouldn't eat that much." And I'm like, "I'll eat whatever I want to," and I'm just grabbing hot dogs, burgers, and everything. All the girls are eating like salads, like, you know. And I'm just like, no, I like food. That was perfect. I loved it. Oh, that was sorry. There was that one question, you guys.
Anybody else? I will keep asking then.
Yeah.
So how?
Thank you, everyone, for your
Yeah.
really.
There you go.
Oh, hang on. Are you not using the bathroom?
Yeah.
Oh, he's off to do a shit. Well, hello.
Hi, I had to think of a question really quick because I didn't want to miss this opportunity, but I'm Irish, so I'm not from the US. And I noticed there's like a different sense of humor in the US than there is in like the UK and Ireland. I think we kind of get each other more. So how do you think American audiences will take to the movie?
I think they'll fucking love it.
Yeah.
All the screeners we went to, everyone's literally dying laughing, and I love that.
Although-
Or crying.
You know, we did have to. So there are a couple of the lines. So there's a really good line in it: "Dick me dead, bury me pregnant." And when we'd be filming, Stephen would have to basically measure how many "dick me deads" each person could get. So, like, if someone said the F word, or if someone said "dick," or it would be like a tally. So there'd only be a certain amount of fucks and dicks and willies.
Yeah, I heard they had to change that just for American audiences.
Yeah.
Because it was fuck me dead, marry me.
Yeah, you're only allowed like two fuck me deads, bury me pregnant.
And there we have it.
America.
And The Rock wasn't even allowed to say it. All that power.
That answer your question.
I'm sorry you asked now.
What was the question?
Sensibilities in comedy
Oh,
internationally.
you can answer that one.
Me?
The answer to that question?
Oh, I look. Okay, so I mean, I think if you try and dilute or try and second guess what an international audience will like, I think you dilute what the thing that it is that make people laugh. Do you know what I mean? So I think things I've made in the past comedically that have worked all over the place, you just do what makes your mates laugh, really. And I think I found all over the world there is that gang of people that them feel like what you've made is speaking to them and you directly, you know.
Yeah.
End of answer. Thanks.
So I would love to hear what your
Let's go home. Yeah. I'm a bit bored. No, I'm joking. Oh, whoa. Oh, no.
Maggie!
That's Zach.
This is Zach Zodiac.
This is my brother.
I don't have a question. In fact, I just wanted to talk to you, Jack. That's the first time I've heard you say anything. My sister's told me about all the interviews you've done, but I just stood there and you just made a 6'3", 18-stone guy cry. I wanted to make sure that everyone knew here how much I appreciate you playing my character, and there would have been no one else I'd have rather played my character. Thank you so much, and thank you for them kind words you just given me.
Mine, thank you.
Oh, love.
Let them have a moment.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
My dad's going to do the same thing to you.
Oh, I hope so. I can't.
Yeah.
Well, that's a nice place to end it. I'd like to thank you all for.
you don't know.
Let's have a look at a clip.
If there's no other question, that's a beautiful moment to end on. So
One more. Jesus, we've flown thousands of miles. There's 2 people at Google wants to ask a question. 3. There we go.
How you guys doing? Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for asking a question.
Growing up here, the wrestling was very much a part of the popular culture. When I was a kid, there was the breakfast cereals and the Saturday morning cartoons, and I was just curious in the UK, what is it like? Is wrestling similar? Is it part of the popular culture in the same way it was here? Is our wrestling, the American wrestling, popular there?
Yeah, American wrestling is very popular over there. Actually, that's why we do 2 tours a year over there. It's pretty successful when we do go. And British wrestling was a huge thing. We had World of Sport growing up and stuff like that, and it was good. Big Daddy.
Yeah.
But it's really grown in the last couple of years now. Like there's just indie federations everywhere, and obviously WWE have opened up a performance center, NXT UK over there now. So it's just as alive over there as it is here. We're just a very small country, so. Obviously, there's not as many.
I used to watch wrestling on a Saturday morning. It was on for like an hour in the mornings, and that was it, you know. And there was, as Paige said, a character called Big Daddy and another guy called Giant Haystacks, and they started off in they were a tag team, and then essentially they became enemies. So to watch those two guys going at it, that was my kind of beginning of wrestling. And it was always, I think, maybe, you know, the birth of where WAW started in small little halls around the country, and it would travel, and the guy who presented it was a guy called Dickie Davis, and he was very dapper, and he had like dense big black hair, but he had like a white streak in it, like the mum at the end of Poltergeist. So that's where wrestling started for me as well, you know. Yeah, in many ways. I keep trying to think a biopic of their battle would be a great film, but it keeps getting knocked back. People keep saying, well, it's too British perhaps and it wouldn't travel, but I think that's shit. Look, we've opened up a gate.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming. So to go on that question, if you were a fan of wrestling growing up, who was your favorite wrestler and why?
Can I answer this question? Because I know I've always been a fan of wrestling. Obviously, it's obvious. But I really loved, I don't know how big of wrestling fans you guys are in here, but there's a woman called Borna Kano. And I was a really big fan of hers because she was very different. She was this really big, Asian, just beautiful woman. And she was just so different to the rest of the women in WWE. And that's where I stole one of my wrestling moves, apart from Zach's. And then also I love Lita because she was very different. And obviously Dwayne, I'll put you over if he's watching. I don't know. And Stone Cold, because he was just a badass dude. He was so amazing. No one else liked wrestling, so.
I think Stone Cold was one of my favorites. And of the old English bunch, I like Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks, but when Kendo Nagasaki, when he ran into the ring, he was shrouded in like a kendo mask. He was kind of frightening and mysterious.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for coming. This question's for Paige. One quick thing, I did want to say that what you've done for women's wrestling has been amazing, and I really appreciate it. That being said, where do you see it going from here?
It's just going to keep getting bigger, I think. Now we have a WWE Evolution. I mean, I'm sad that I can't be a part of that because of the injury that I had.
But you started it.
But I did start the damn thing. So, no, I'm just really happy with where it's going. We have so many amazing females now that's in the company, and they're just main event and all these big things like WrestleMania. I never thought that was going to happen, but hopefully it's happening this year. And I just think it's just going to keep just getting bigger. Like women in the WWE are now unstoppable. We're not looked at as a piss break or tits and ass anymore. We're looked at as truly serious in-ring competitors, and no longer divas, but we're superstars, and I love that. Thanks.
Hey, thank you guys for coming. Didn't know if that was working. This is probably mostly for Paige, but it could be for everyone. You have a moment in the film or in the trailer when you're talking about, hey, you know, don't be the first, or don't be me, be the first you, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering how people develop their personas. You know, how does somebody become a hero or a villain? And that might make more sense, obviously, in wrestling. Could also apply to actors, you know, who gets cast as what? How does that work?
Right. So when it comes to the WWE, you have to try and develop a character. It doesn't matter what it is. Like we had Hornswoggle, who would dress like a leprechaun. It was a midget. I don't know if that's the right time to say, but it's like WWE can give you a character like they gave it to him, or you know. But with me, I create my own character because I was just like the elevated version of myself. You know, I just started screaming a lot and being extra pale. I don't know, and apparently it worked. But like with the process, you have so much time in NXT that you can develop a character. Like they have such a great center down there where you have promo classes and you have teachers that can work with you to try and help you create something. And but I think the best the character you can have is definitely just you with the bass turned up, essentially. So that personally for me. What do you guys think about your wrestling characters? You okay? Wait, what are you laughing at?
Nina's laughing at Hornswoggling.
That was his name. Does people know who Hornswoggle was? One person, I think. Oh, and the one in the back. He was Hornswoggle. Are you? There was also another one called El Torito, and he dressed like a little bull. We've had some characters.
I feel like we've entered another realm.
Not the kind of realm you're thinking about. You look
Just so emotional.
On that note, the film is going to be in theaters everywhere on February 22nd, so please go see it. And you can find out more information at fightingwithmyfamily.movie. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Cheers.